Welcome to this special edition of the Bluffton News. I'm Annalisa Itkor. Now, we have a very exciting time coming to the town of Bluffton. In just a few days, we will have our November 4th elections for the Bluffton Town Council. We have 7 candidates vying for 2 available seats, and there are several hot-button issues on the table. We are going to give the candidates an opportunity today to address those issues so the public can see what they're thinking. This is how the debate's going to work. Every candidate will have an opportunity to answer 3 questions. They will have 2 minutes and 10 seconds apiece. Are you gentlemen ready? All right. Our first question. The Old Town District is zoned as mixed use, and recent development has created issues of noise and parking for local residents. How will you address these 2 issues as a council member? We're going to start with Mr. Charlie Wetmore.
Thank you. Thanks for coming tonight. My name is Charlie Wetmore. I am running to get back on council. I've lived in the Bluffton area since 1991. First got involved with local politics when I found out my kids couldn't walk to school, and we got pathways and crossing guards and crosswalks. And ended up on council for 3 years, took a short time out, and now I'm back here asking you to consider me tonight for election to council on Tuesday, November 5th. As far as the noise and parking issues in Old Town go, it's become a challenge, and it's become a challenge of our own creation, and not necessarily in a bad way. We wanted a mixed-use community in Bluffton. We wanted residential, we wanted commercial, we wanted them to coexist, and we wanted to have it work well. And as I'm halfway through my time now, I'm going to speed this up. The issue we have right now is we changed the noise ordinance a couple of years ago, and we took out the measurable noise meter clause in there where we could actually measure the decibel meters in it. We need to rework our noise ordinance. We need to get a clear, specific, measurable way back in there to tell whether it's an issue or not, so that the residents know, so that the people that own the businesses know. As far as the parking goes, yes, it's become an issue because more people have discovered our town and come down here. We need to explore issues such as financial incentives for private developers to develop parking lots. We do need to do a parking study in Old Town. And I think we can do those, and I think we can work together to get that done. And I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Wetmore. Mr. Toomer.
Thanks for having me. I'm Larry Toomer. I started the first grade right here in this same building 50 years ago. So I've been around a little while. As far as the issues at hand, I am a downtown resident. I know firsthand exactly what's taking place and what everybody's unhappy about. I feel like the only solution is to pass an ordinance with a enforceable decimal reading on the noise. It doesn't need to be heard 2 miles away for everyone to have fun and enjoy what they're wanting to listen to, or for the businesses to prosper. As far as the parking, I think it's inevitable that the town creates some type of public parking. We want the businesses here, we want the people here. We've been saying this for the last 20 years or so that I know of. So we've got to find a place for the customers to park and where it's safe. The children going to the schools, crossing the schools, jumping out in front of cars, it's, you know, it's to the point where it's got to be done. It's not something that whether we want to do it or not, it's just got to be done. And it's got to be done in a way that it's fair to the businesses, to the residents, and to the people that are coming here wanting to come here. If it's a pain and they have to walk 3 miles to go to an establishment, they're not going to spend money at that business. So we've got to come up with some property, structured parking that is easy and accessible for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Toomer. Mike Raymond will take the podium next.
First, I'd like to say thank you to WHHI and to Bluffton today, and especially to all of you that are tuning in and taking your time to listen. My name is Mike Raymond. I am your councilman, and I also serve as commissioner for the Bluffton Township Fire District. Prior to that, I was on town staff as an engineer with our Department of Environmental Protection. I live in a neighborhood where you can hear the crowd cheers from the high school. the high school football games, the high school band, and the practices for all the sports out there. It goes on constantly. But we don't call the police. It kind of goes with the territory when you live near a school campus. And it's very much like that in a mixed-use neighborhood. We have great problems down there. And I love the synergy that we've just found in the last couple years down there. People love coming to our Old Town neighborhood, and those kinds of issues we've already begun to address. We have a temporary solution for parking, more options are coming, and we have lots of ways to soften sound and music. The bigger question and the bigger challenges that are facing our town are 10,000 people that are going to move here every year for several years. Tens of thousands of folks. If we don't manage that problem, the quality of life for us all is going to go bye-bye. So I promise I'm not going to let that happen. If we get it wrong, then parking and music on one street is going to be the least of our problems. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Garfield Moss.
Hello, and thank all of you for allowing me to speak for us. I became interested in becoming a candidate because of we've all been a little unhappy here. I don't think we would have 8 candidates if we were happy, and I've been in several of the meetings, and I've been told that we don't want to point fingers and we don't want to point fingers at anyone and blame anyone for it. But must hold these people accountable. And if we don't hold them accountable, you can't hold people. If you don't point fingers and identify the problem, you can't correct it. So that's the reason I got involved, because I felt as though I have some suggestions how to correct some of the problems that we have. And as far as the noise, I live in the Old Town of Bluffton, and I've been here for 26 years. And until the last year and a half, it was a very pleasant place for me to sleep and to live. But today it's so noisy that it's become a real problem. And I could solve the noise problem tomorrow. I mean, when you have people complaining every day, then you don't need anything. Just come in and address the issue. And as far as parking, I could solve the parking problem tomorrow, because I submitted a proposal to the town in January that I would lease them enough land to accommodate all of the parking. I have 5 acres. They haven't even given it any consideration yet. So I'm in doubt of whether they really want to solve the problem, because the problem could be solved tomorrow with parking, at least temporary parking to accommodate all of us. And it's just not happening. I don't know why, but I intend to find out if y'all decide to elect me for your councilman. And I am going to go after the people that have not been doing their job. We pay them a great deal of money to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Moss.
Thank you.
And next to the podium, we have Fred Hamilton, Jr.
Good evening, and thanks for sharing this evening with me. I am Fred Hamilton, Jr., running for town council, and this will be my 3rd time running. I've served 6 years previously, and in those 6 years, I believe I've demonstrated strong leadership with positive accomplishments. That's why I'm running again, because I believe I made a difference, and I'd like to continue to serve the community that I love and grew up in. I have a vested interest in Bluffton because this is lifetime home for me. I've always lived here and don't believe any place else would suit me at any time. Parking and noise is definitely one of our challenges. However, I took measures to speak with the residents in the community, as well as the business owners and our staff, as well as elected officials. And I believe that there are steps put in place now which should have happened a long time ago, but there are steps in place now that are going to be positive. One of the business owners there says that he has realized that there's a problem and he'd like to be a part of fixing the problem. Therefore, he decided to build a stadium that will soften the noise whenever there is a noise curfew. We need to have a noise ordinance that will say how long can we have amplified music. Parking, that same owner has said that he is going to have a parking lot in place, and have already taken the steps to get those parking spaces approved. I believe that we continue to work with the citizens and the business owner and leadership, we can solve the problem expeditiously. Thank you.
Thank you. Oliver Brown is not present, so next to the podium will be Gary Bensch.
My name is Gary Bensch, and I also am running for town council. Thank you, Dana, and WHHI for making this informative work to the community. Relative to the issues that we're speaking to tonight, on the first issue being the noise and the mixed use in downtown Bluffton, I've been a resident of this area, Bluffton and Hilton Head area, for over 35 years, and I've seen over the 35, 36 years enormous growth in the Bluffton area. We now have, we're a little bit of a victim of our own success. However, we've been a little short-sighted in planning for the success of downtown Bluffton. We obviously have noise issues. We have parking issues that will not go away until deliberate changes are made to help our local community. This appears to be a festering problem and will require council's aggressive need to come to a conclusion of it. I do believe that we're going to have to end up with a noise ordinance and have amplified music cease probably after 9 p.m. during the week and perhaps 10 p.m. on weekends. And I'm hopeful that a new town council will speak to these issues and address it to where the Bluffton police force, if necessary, can reconcile these problems so that the community has a peaceful evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bensch. When we return, we will put our second question on the table and learn a bit further about the platforms. Special edition of the Bluffton News. With the growing population in Bluffton, of course, job availability is on everybody's mind. Our second question in this debate is, what will you do to encourage job creation in Bluffton? Gary Bensch will be the first to respond.
This is going to be a serious issue in the years to come. It is already presently a problem that we do not have enough industry or clean businesses in our area to have a good working force for our Bluffton residents. We're going to have to expand our view and look more at the region, the entire region, not just Bluffton and downtown area. We have very smart people here. We need to procure more jobs for the local residents. I'm very sure that this can be done very rapidly by addressing and drawing new businesses into this area by thinking outside the box and getting our businesses, becoming business friendly is what I really mean to say. I think our fees for local businesses are too high. I have a small business now myself. I'm a retired builder for many years, and the fees that we have to pay just to run our businesses in this area are far too high. So I think, and there are other sources of revenue to replace that small revenue that would be lost if that were so decided. So I would love to be part of the solution of getting local businesses into this area, and it will take an aggressive function of town council to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bensch. Fred Hamilton Jr.
Job creation is definitely something that I have spent a lot of time with and have a great deal of concern about, because I believe our quality of life have to be centered around job creation. One of the things that I'm very concerned about is our quality of life. And quality of life means that we don't want to have industries coming in that's going to change the way we go to dinner at night, go to lunch in the day, or does we want it to be something that brings more pollution to our estuaries? However, when we do create jobs, we want to focus those jobs on our local citizens. Most companies that come in and say they want to bring jobs do not focus on the fact that we want to employ locally, because they come with half of those jobs filled from other states. Let's be very careful about job creation and economic development. Let's be more focused on the quality of life that we all want to enjoy while we're here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Next to the podium, Mr. Garfield Moss.
What will I do to encourage job creation in town? I'll lead by example. So far, I've built $1 million worth of houses here. That created jobs. And all of the people that worked for me came out of Bluffton. They didn't come from other states or other cities. They all came from Bluffton. And the other thing that I'm going to do is the first of the year, we have on the drawing board another $1 million worth of houses. And we will build $1 million worth of houses every year for the next 5 years, providing that we get cooperation from the town. And we've also started we're starting a program with the Mary Graves house. That's a house that all of you are familiar with. It's a historic house, and it needs repairs. And we plan on purchasing that house from the church. And when we purchase that house, we are going to create jobs and apprenticeship jobs for each of the trades. And at the end of the 12 months, when we finish building that, renovating that house, we'll have 12 licensed subcontractors, electricians, plumbers, roofers, etc. And that's what we need to do. We need to create jobs, and I'm in a position to do it, and I'm willing to do it, providing I get the support of the town. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Moss. And next we have Mike Raymond.
Bluffton can become the economic engine for our entire county. I know that's hard to see right now, but there are things underway that's going to make that so. We have surrounding us Hilton Head. They are built out. They're not going to do it. They have all their eggs in the tourism basket. Beaufort's not going to do it. It's going to be Bluffton that will do it. And what we've done in the last 4 years are concrete steps to make that happen. You know, government doesn't create jobs. The private sector has to do it. All government can do is to make an atmosphere that is attractive for businesses. Things like the Don Ryan Center for Innovation. When I saw that opportunity for us to partner with Clemson University, I was all about it. That is us and Clemson University partnered to build a business incubator. They're not creating jobs. They're helping private individuals and local startup companies get off the ground. They're going to build the jobs. We have our Public Development Corporation that was just recently established. And that corporation just had their first strategic planning session. They're taking the inventory of all our assets, what we have and what we don't have and what we need to do. They're going to have a major role in our Bluffton advancing our economic development in the near future. I also worked very much with the chamber and talked to them about being our partners in bringing businesses to Bluffton. And they said, let's start the Bluffton branding project. We're in the middle of that right now. We're going to come out of this with a marketing package to sell Bluffton, not just as a great place to day trip or be a tourist, but a great place to bring your business, to relocate your business, grow your business. And these things I'm proud to have had a hand in to help put them into place.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond. Larry Toomer.
Okay, I like this topic. I am a job creator. I've been creating jobs in Bluffton for quite some time. We opened a new business 3 years ago next month, and we have approximately 25, 30 people there that are getting a check every Friday. I am not all about big box stores, big chain stores, you know, all those big promises, give them all the tax incentives, and then one day, 20 years from now, you might get even. I believe in small business. I think small business is the backbone of this town and country. I see empty buildings all over. I don't know why we really need to worry about building anything right now. Let's fill up what we already have. That way, we get businesses here, we get more people here to spend money in the town of Bluffton, and we also do not create more rooftops and more, you know, possibilities for more damage to our rivers. I don't think we have to look too far. You know, if you look at the vision that Charles Fraser had in Sea Pines when he went there and started developing that back when I was a little kid, I watched all that happen through the years. It was amazing. Nothing really, really out of the ordinary other than they just cared. They didn't cut down the trees. They cared about the historical parts, the historical nature of the people, and, you know, really made an effort to preserve a lot of that. Just yesterday I was out at Palmetto Bluff and just totally amazed of how much they saved and how beautiful of a job that they did there. People are coming to those two places in record numbers. So all we have to do is have something in Bluffton to get them to come here, where they have to come to Bluffton to get it. You can't get it on Hilton Head, you can't get it in Palmetto Bluff. Palmetto Bluff is Bluffton, but I mean Old Town. Unique shops, artists, pottery, whatever, that they have to come to Bluffton to get. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, we have Charlie Wetmore.
Well, thank you. I heard a pretty concrete question. What are we going to do to encourage job creation in Bluffton? Let's talk about the Don Ryan Center, the incubator, for a second. It is a great concept, a concept of partnering a university with people of knowledge to help businesses build and create jobs in Bluffton and bring high-paying jobs to Bluffton. So how did we do this? The town spent $200,000, $50,000 of which was paid to our partner Clemson to help us. We took in 12 companies, I'm sorry, I believe it's 13 companies in the first year, graduated one, which has created one job, which is not guaranteed to stay in Bluffton. This is not how we bring and encourage job creation to Bluffton. The incubator can be good. We need to have guarantees that the jobs will be formed in Bluffton. We need to have guarantees that monies will come from other sources. We don't have those guarantees. We don't have those things set up. I don't know if anybody's heard of SCORE. SCORE is a great organization. It is free help to businesses from retired professionals. And there is a huge SCORE chapter in the area. that does pretty much the same thing that the incubator's doing. I'm not saying the incubator is a bad thing. I'm saying it's a bad thing the way it's set up now. We can spend a lot less money and get a lot better result. Also, what do we do to encourage job creation? We get training. To this point, I am the only elected official, to the best of my knowledge, that has ever gone to the South Carolina Economic Development Institute. It's 4 trips around the state to meet state leaders, county leaders, business leaders, economic engine and development leaders to help bring businesses and industry that is right for your area to your area. There are specific things we can do. We created, when Fred and I were on council together, we created the multi-county industrial park that's out in Buckwalter that led and had CareCorps and other businesses come to it. And I'll just leave it at that. But there are specific things we can do, and I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wetmore. We'll be right back with more of this special edition of the Bluffton News here on WHHI-TV. And we are back with this special edition of the Bluffton News. Probably the most challenging question has been left for the last. Gentlemen, what is your position on annexation? And Charlie Wetmore, you'll go first.
Well, South Carolina has one of the most unique and most frustrating annexing laws in the country. It has led to what we often refer to in politics as donut holes. You can drive up Buckwalter, and half of the communities in Buckwalter are in the town of Bluffton, and half of them are not. And they're not next to each other either. To fix donut hole issues has to be done at the state level. So I'm not even going to address that. We do have different ways that annexation can happen, and that is if residents of a community come to us and want to hold a referendum like Buck Island and Simmonsville did, and we welcomingly brought them into the town. Commercial developments can also come before us, and land developers can come before us and ask to be annexed into the town. And they often do this because they want something from the town. More often in terms of more density and areas that potentially can affect the environment. And we have to be very careful when we're dealing with those issues. I'm not saying we shouldn't annex more development or more areas into the town, but we don't need to give things away to do it. Great example is how Palmetto Bluff was annexed into the town. But I want to thank you for allowing me to talk to you tonight. I want to thank you for listening to me tonight. Again, my name's Charlie Wetmore. I believe in lowering taxes like the last time I was on council. I believe in a balanced budget. I believe in being a fiscal conservative and saving us all money anywhere we can. I'm known for getting things done. I'm not always known for being the nicest or doing it in the best way, but you know I have the town of Bluffton and y'all's and my best interests at heart when I'm standing up here representing you if you choose to let me do that again. So again, Charlie Wetmore, vote for me November 5th, and I'll put a shameless plug in, vote for me because it's my birthday, but show up and vote. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Wetmore. Larry Toomer.
Annexation can be a really great thing. I remember when the town was 1 square mile and now it's 50-something, and there's been some really good things out of that and some really frustrating times also. I don't really feel like we should reach out any farther as far as annexation until we take care of some of the promises that were made to the people that we've already annexed. Mainly, I'm speaking of the Buck Island, Simmonsville area, Goethe Road. You know, we were going to get sidewalks, sewer, street lights, just a number of different things that we were talking about 10, 12 years ago, 15 years, whatever it's been now. It's been a while. Those people still don't have a whole lot more than they did other than the trash can being dumped on Fridays or Thursdays. The taxes are a little higher, and that's all they've gotten so far. I think that we should make it more attractive for some of our higher end. We've got people that are in a rock throwing distance of this building just about that are not in the town. High-end waterfront property that would be great to have in, but they're not going to come into the town and pay more taxes. Why should they? The town needs to study that and see what we can come up to make those people want to pay taxes to the town of Bluffton and not just to the county and to the state. The donut holes, the same thing with them. We need to make those developments, try to make it attractive for them to be a part of Bluffton, so we don't have Beaufort County Sheriff's deputies and Bluffton Police all in the same area. You take one house and I've got the other, and it's not their fault by any means. They're both doing a great job, but it's kind of double money, if you, in my eyes, to have two separate police forces working on the same street. So I don't have all the answers, but I do have that in mind as a great start to accomplish something. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Mr. Toomer. Mike Raymond, would you please take the podium?
4 years ago, when you elected me to town council, I was sitting up here when staff presented the first annexation proposal. I couldn't make a decision because there was a lot of information that was missing. So I sat down and I outlined all the data points that needed to be collected for due diligence. Ever since then, our town staff collects that data as a matter of routine. I have no idea how prior councils were making those decisions. But the question is not what your position is on annexation. The question is, do you understand how to analyze an annexation request? People must petition to come into the town, and you must weigh the positives and the negatives and be able to determine, is it or is it not in our best interest? I think I've been able to do that because I have a background that allows me to get underneath even the most complex issues. I would hope as a resident that I would have a councilman that would challenge our staff, that would demand to have the information to make informed decisions. I would hope that I would have a councilman that would also help fix the process if it was broken. With this candidate, that's what you get. I've tried to help out in every way I can over the last 4 years. I've got your back, but I need your help. With 7 people running, every single vote is going to count. So please come out on November 5th and vote to keep me as your councilman. If you do, I'm all in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond. Garfield Moss.
Well, if it was up to me, I would stop annexation now. We have a serious problem, as I said before. We need to repair the problems that we have before we start extending ourselves to more. And I would start, I would clean house. The council members that we've had in the past, they just haven't done the job for us, or we wouldn't have these problems that we're having now. And I've been told that we are giving people anywhere from $110,000 to $27,000 a year because we have quality, well-experienced people working for us. And if they're working, why are we having this problem? And as I indicated before, the only way to solve it is to get rid of the people that caused it. We didn't cause it. The staff caused the problem. We're just reacting to it. And we have problems in the communities. Mr. Toomer mentioned that we have problems with the people in the community. We have roads that haven't been repaired. We have street lights that need to be placed on streets. People are getting killed on them. Now, these issues should be addressed first before we add any more. And the more we add, the more problems we're going to occur. And as you know, in about 30 years, we've got to start paying people to sit down that we're hiring now because they're going to retire and we're going to be responsible for them. So the more people you hire right now, the more money it's going to cost us in the future. And so, as I said, I'd like for everything to just slow down and let us get control of what we have. This is a beautiful town, but we don't have control of it. And we have issues with the river, we have issues with noise, we have issues with parking, we have issues with racial discrimination. We have all kinds of issues that need attention right now. And I think that we should address those issues immediately.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you very
Moss.
much.
Thank you. Fred Hamilton, Jr.
I can't sit up here or stand up here and say that I don't believe in annexation, because I was one of the leaders that brought Goethe Road into the town before I even came on council. I was the leader that brought Buckout and Simonville into the town while I was on council. Those communities were struggling with a lot of hardship. Didn't have proper water and sewer, didn't have garbage pickup, didn't have police protection, and the county was not going to address those problems, and municipality were able to. Those people now have, when they were only 1 dwelling per acre, they now can utilize their property with 4 dwellings per acre because of annexation. So I believe that if we continue to do annexation, we have to do it responsibly. We have to use good common sense to say when is it a good product for the town, so it doesn't become a burden on our town. Now, I'm asking you to consider me for town council again. Like I said in my opening statement, I have done several positive things and made many accomplishments with strong leadership. We have many challenges ahead of us, and I'm one guy that believe I can put this challenge on my shoulder and go with it and support you. Listen to the concern of the citizens and act upon them. My first priority is the citizens of Bluffton. My first priority is the citizens of Bluffton. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. And we have Gary Bensch.
Annexation has been one of the most successful things Bluffton has done in many years. Years ago, I met with then Mayor Washington and encouraged him to consider annexing parcels into Bluffton to expand the area and also the tax base. It has been part of the success of Bluffton, and it's a reason these gentlemen and myself are trying to get onto the new town council to help control the growth that we are sustaining now. I live in Hampton Hall. I would not be a Bluffton resident had it not been for annexation. I believe annexation has to be considered on a individual basis. Every time someone makes a request, we should analyze whether it's helpful to ourselves, our community, and whether it's needed. And it also, if we can meet the needs of those people who might want to annex into Bluffton. The town must consider perhaps slowing its growth in order to maintain the integrity of our area. We need to consider smart growth, but we now have to face the some of the challenges that development has cost Bluffton. And some of my key issues are maintaining the clean rivers in our community. And, but I also, as a longtime resident, am very hopeful that perhaps one of my 15 grandchildren could move back to Bluffton after they're educated and find a good job here. So I'm highly motivated to broaden our tax base and also bring good jobs to this area. I'm a 35-year resident of this area, and I would love to serve on town council if possible. I thank you for your time.
Thank
Good
you. Gentlemen, we'd like to thank you for coming out today and sharing your platforms. These gentlemen have done their job, and now it is your time to do yours. You are encouraged heartfeltly to come out on Tuesday, November 5th and vote. It's a very important election. You have great candidates to choose from and very important issues driving this election. I'm Annalisa Itkor. We will see you next time.